Hi there, I'm Holly McDonald with the Costa Mesa Pod, where we talk about all things that make the lifestyle, businesses, and activities in our area such a great place to live. Today I am joined with Alex of Atlas College Prep, a new school that's forming in our general area and that can totally be an option for people in Costa Mesa and all around. So Alex, I'm so glad to have you here.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, we love to talk about schools, kids, education. Like, that's such a huge part of the community that we live in. It's a big reason people come to Orange County specifically. Yeah. We have a lot of people that come down from LA and all of that. So why don't you give us kind of the 30-second pitch on what is Atlas College Prep?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Atlas College Prep is a free public charter school that is focused on college preparation, career pathways in a rigorous but family-style environment.
Okay.
We belong to a network of public charter schools called Ednovate, and so we are actually the 8th school within the network, the 2nd in Orange County.
Okay. Are the rest all in California?
Yes, so we have 6 schools in LA, 1 in Santa Ana, Legacy College Prep, and then we'll be the second to join the party here in Orange County.
Okay, that's exciting, and I know that you've been working tirelessly on this for some time, so it's finally about to kick off, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We're launching this fall, this August. August 4th is our first day of school, and essentially we're serving Tustin and Santa Ana, right? That's where we're located, but we are also serving the broader Orange County community as well.
Okay, so I want to dive in a little bit deeper to talk a little bit about what a free public charter school is versus, a private prep school.
Yeah.
So, first of all, how is it able to be free?
Yeah, so we are funded essentially like any other public school, right, through our enrollment, and so that is essentially our funding model, right? It's like any other public school. We receive oversight from the Orange County Department of Education, and so we want to make sure that we're providing a service, right? That we are continually, with our families, with our students, with our broader community, providing a public service of high quality, right? And so that is essentially our reason for existing, right? Making sure that within the community there's a need, we're identifying and addressing that, and then doing our absolute best to provide a world-class education to our kids.
Great. I'm just going to make sure we're looking good, especially with the poll and everything. Okay, you're doing perfect. Thank you. Okay. I just don't want to go through like 20 minutes and be like,
sure.
oh,
But poll. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that need that has been identified. What is the need specifically that you're really, really focused on that is pulling people in? Like, what is the pull here?
Absolutely. In one word, it would be personalization, right?
Okay.
The more that we've connected with families, the more that we've connected with how they see their child thriving in the best possible way, is through a family-style model. In fact, our slogan, and more than just our slogan, really our approach is find your path, family style.
Okay.
Right, and so that the ratio that we have from students to teachers is one that we maintain at a small, very small, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that every student feels seen, they feel respected, they feel really understood for who they are.
Yeah.
And with smaller class sizes and a smaller learning environment, we're able to provide that for students.
Yeah, what is the ratios that you're seeing right now or what is the plan for your school as far as number of students and teachers?
In our founding year, we anticipate that ratio actually to be 10 students to 1 teacher.
Yeah.
Right? And so for the student to receive that level of one-on-one support, personalization, for them to really have the capacity to understand and explore what their interests are, and to receive obviously that fundamental academic support is a huge priority for us.
Okay, and so let's talk a little bit about how it's forming. So you were telling me off camera that it's 9th grade only for starting, at least for your launch this year.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that model so that people that may be thinking about it or wanting to get more information and wondering like, how is this going to work for my family? How does that all come together?
Absolutely. So we, as I mentioned, with all of our 7 sister schools, we've launched in the same model. So essentially 1 grade level at a time. So we scale in that same way.
Okay.
We want to make sure that in year 1, we're staying small, we're staying disciplined with our growth to make sure that every aspect of our program we've been able to address before we start scaling to a bigger size. Right? From 9th and 10th, doubling in size and then tripling, right, and going from there. And so eventually we'll scale up to grades 9 through 12. So we'll serve the high school students, all grade levels. And so for families looking for a place for this fall, that would be students just going into their high school experience now.
Okay, and so it's going to be on the smaller side to start off. You're
Yep.
anticipating how many students in your launching year?
In our launch year, we're looking for about 50 to 60 students.
Okay, great. And so have you had any interest yet from families in Costa Mesa, or are we spreading the word?
Oh, a bit of both.
Yeah.
We have families from the surrounding cities, right? We have a family coming to us from Orange. We've had families from Costa Mesa interested in exploring it. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's for every student and family to decide logistically, practically, is this going to work for us?
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I think is really valuable about our model is that it does not depend on any zip code, right? There is no zip code requirement. And we've seen that with our sister schools in LA and in Santa Ana as well. We've had students commute from the train 45 minutes away. Their parents have seen the value of our model, and so they're driving them across town. And so to not be dependent on any zip code or boundary is a commitment we make to our families.
And then I'm just curious too, as far as like the education goes, are you doing like, is it well-rounded, or how does that work with this model? Because obviously your goal here is to help get children set on the path to college. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does that all work, and like what are the requirements from the state and your funding and all of that?
Well, we receive from the state side, from the requirements and accountability side, we receive constant oversight from our authorizer, in this case, the Orange County Department of Education. And so, from an academic side, our test scores, our ability, our student discipline, all of those metrics that go into evaluating if a school is being successful apply to us as well.
Yeah.
That's more on the technical side. I would say at the foundation of the heart of your question is that we really focus on something called the whole child report card. And so we're evaluating not only academics, but we're also looking at the student's ability to self-regulate. We're looking at their critical thinking. We're looking at their wellness and their social, emotional capability, right, and how they're developing there. And so actually every time a parent receives a child's report card, they see this grid, which is essentially, as a whole child, how are you developing? Not just the academics, not just the grades, but as a person, are you thriving at our school?
Okay, and that actually leads to my next question. Like, how do you know if someone's thriving? So I guess you kind of answered that by, you've got this whole body report card. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a really special thing that I think does give a lot of personalization, like you were talking about. So have you personally had children go through this, or yourself, or like this type of a school, or how did you land in this position?
Yeah, well, I mean, a bit of backstory. I'm actually from Brazil originally. I moved to the United States about 20 years ago with big Hollywood dreams. Ended up working in education, and that's been the last 15 years of my career, right? in public charter schools, mostly in Los Angeles, but in the last 4 years now working in Orange County. And being able to work with students on that one-to-one level, especially when students are not at their best, maybe. When they're having those tough days, when they're still trying to figure out who they are and how they can best thrive, that's when I think we do our best work.
Okay.
It's not so much just that everything is smooth sailing, but you're having a hard time, stepping alongside you, walking alongside you, and making sure that you're thriving with us.
I mean, isn't that like everything in life, right?
I think so, yeah, absolutely.
If everything's easy, then of course you're going to probably be able to perform your best, but when the times get hard, right?
And more specifically to most of our graduating students are first generation college students. Right?
Yeah.
And so to equip them and to partner with their families and to partner with community organizations to make sure that we are, again, providing a key service to our communities that we're serving, and particularly to every kid that walks through our doors, I think is our promise that we continue to make.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the success rate for the students that you've had in some of the other schools in your program.
Yeah. So for 3 years in a row now, we've been able to actually accomplish and achieve 100% of college acceptance rate to four-year universities with all of our seniors.
Wow.
That culminates in an event that we have at the Galen Center in LA with our partnership with USC, where they're announcing to the world, to their community, to their families, right? I'm going here, I'm going there. And not all of them end up going the four-year university route, but we've been able to commit to this promise of we will open that door for you.
Yeah.
Whatever you choose to do, whatever you and your family discuss is the best option for you, whether it's the workforce, community college, military, whatever the case may be. But that we have opened the door and that there's never been a barrier to achieving it.
Beautiful. And yes, how nice that there is so much focus on the individual student and the things that like they're passionate about.
Yeah. That's absolutely, I think that's the starting point. Right?
Yeah.
We also have programs that really draw that out. 12th grade year, we have something called the senior capstone, which is students pursuing and kind of pulling on the threads of their interests. And so from there, they get internships or apprenticeships, or they develop projects that at the end of the school year, they present to our extended community about here's what I did, here's what I accomplished, here are my dreams and visions for the future.
Amazing. And so now your school day, is it similar in length to the traditional public school day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we run 8:30 to 3:30 Mondays through Thursdays, and we have an early dismissal on Fridays. Our staff, that's when we do our professional development on Fridays, and so students get out at 1:30 on Fridays.
Okay. And so what about that student that wants a little bit of everything? They want the educational component that they can focus really strongly on here, but also maybe they want the extracurriculars. What does your school have to offer as far as that goes, or is there an intersection?
There is. I mean, I think the way that we talk about it is essentially we offer all the core programming just at a smaller scale. Right? Now, compared to many of the comprehensive high schools in our area, we won't have the same sheer number of electives or athletic programs or extracurriculars. But we do have an athletic program at all of our schools. Even us as Atlas, just starting this year, we are CIF accredited to start our athletics program.
Oh, cool.
And we also compete within our schools. We have what's called the Ednovate League, and so we'll compete with our sister schools as well. When it comes to extracurriculars, most of that are after-school clubs, in addition to the electives that we're able to offer.
Okay.
And those are determined essentially by student interests, right? Surveying the students, making sure that we're able to offer clubs that are in accordance with their interests, right? And so, again, we want to make sure, and we see that importance, right? It's not just the academic side, it's the whole child developing, right? So to have school dances, events, field trips, the ability to learn outside the classroom is a huge priority for us as well.
Yeah. So a lot of people in the areas that I'm familiar with are really into sports and wanting the sports scholarships as well as the education, of course. So would you say that there's a difference, an advantage or a disadvantage at a smaller school like yours? I mean, everybody's going to have their priorities, right? So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, our number one priority has been delivering on this promise for families for college prep. Right?
And you're doing
so,
it.
In addition, and so we've been fortunate there, building out systems that also support athletics, that support extracurriculars, that support job and career-connected learning, for example, that are not equivalent necessarily one-to-one with this college prep promise. Is very important to us. I would say
not number one.
I would say that. I mean, in a sense of looking at how can we deliver a high-quality athletics program to the best of our ability and keeping our size into consideration. I think we want everything that we do. We want to do with the best quality, the best structure, the best communication, and obviously making sure that every step of the way that families and students are aware of what they're choosing. Right now, if there's a student who's pursuing a D1 scholarship for football, for example, that's probably not us.
That's okay. Okay, and then this may be an ignorant question, but I'm going to ask. Do students at prep schools like yours get more homework, or is there more intentional time in the classroom because it's smaller classes? How does that work?
That's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of people hear the college prep and it brings up all kinds of associations, right? Is this going to be harder? Is there going to be tons of extra work? I think what we define as rigor is what happens inside the classroom, right? And so what we want to commit to every single day is that students are receiving what's appropriate for them, right? In terms of their grade level, that they're never receiving anything that's not going to challenge them, right? Now, practically speaking, that works in different ways. So I wouldn't say there's more or less homework per se. It's more just our approach to making rigor and critical thinking happen within the span of the learning environment.
Okay, and then so now this location is up by the Santa Ana Zoo, which we are at. Are there any future plans for potentially something even closer to the coast, where Costa Mesa is? This is not that far, actually, as far as commuting goes. And for people that maybe have parents that commute, there's public transit. There's options to get here for sure.
Yeah.
But are there future plans for growth that you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, so we are authorized to open 3 more schools actually in Orange County, and so we're still exploring what that will look like down the line. But we want to make sure that it, again, all goes back to that first part of the conversation, which is where is the need? How can we step in a way that is going to provide something that's really going to make a difference in our communities, right? And so those plans are still kind of in discussion for what the future looks like. I think for our campus now, one of the main aspects we've talked about is this is right off the freeway.
It is?
Right? So, you know, talking about the rivers, right? Following the course of traffic here in California, I think that's been a huge draw for families who may not even live within the immediate 5 to 10 minute zip code, but have easy access to us.
Yeah. I am curious. So you mentioned you're from Brazil. Is I'm sure the educational system is obviously different there. Was it a big culture shock for you to see what it is like here versus what you're familiar with? I mean, you have children too, so I am curious.
No, absolutely. Growing up, my mom was actually an English teacher at an international school.
Oh, nice.
And by Brazilian law, every Brazilian child who's the child of a teacher gets their tuition paid for at a private school.
What a great law.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, something to consider. But all that to say, in Brazil, in that sense, private versus public, it's the tale of haves and have-nots, essentially, right? And so coming here to see the quality of public education that exists here, I think was definitely a culture shock element for me. Going to the school that I went to the same school, K through 12 actually. I had classmates who would travel an hour to get into campus because they knew their local options or their public options weren't going to satisfy what they're looking for. And so this idea of going the extra mile, of families driving or commuting into a high quality education is something that definitely has been a part of my experience and something that we hope to see at Atlas.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you as well, when you're talking about identifying the need, are you specifically seeking out areas where maybe there is just more of a barrier of entry to get into colleges and like the families and the students would like that, or how do you define that? That's
a great question. I think it's multifaceted, right? And for every one of our schools, we've explored that in different ways, right? We have a school in the east side of Los Angeles called Encore, for example, that is focused on arts and media, right?
Oh, cool.
Having more of a niche programming.
Because I want to go there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, essentially, it's canvassing, it's talking to families, understanding if we were to build a school like this in your neighborhood, what would be important to you? What would be a priority? Obviously, the question of barriers to access and disparities, and economic disparities, achievement disparities are a huge part of that conversation. But that's not 100% of our families, right? A lot of our families are just looking for what is the environment where I know my kid is going to receive that smaller family-style environment, where I can get on the phone with the principal. They're going to know exactly who my kid is by name, by face, and they have a relationship with them, right? And so it's again, it's complex, it's multifaceted, but again, the core of our families that we serve are first-generation college achievers and graduates.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that probably at a smaller school environment where the whole premise is family first and all of that, you're probably going to get more involvement.
Yeah.
Than, you know, and I mean, I do some stuff with my children in public schools, and it's always a struggle because you have to have your priorities, and it just depends on your situation.
Yep.
So if you have a smaller community, maybe it doesn't take as many people to run it because it's smaller and more personalized.
Yeah, absolutely. And even now, we already launched our Parent Leadership Council for our founding families. And essentially from day zero, we want to put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, in terms of what family partnership looks like.
Okay.
We really want to avoid this idea of, hey, just only come when we tell you to come, versus this is an open door.
Okay.
Right?
Nice.
Building this together. And of course, the work responsibilities, other family responsibilities may prevent that at times, and we understand that. But there's, again, never going to be a closed gate and a closed door to families who want to really get involved.
Okay, and my last question for you is going to be a little bit about enrollment. So you're launching in August.
Yep.
Are you still accepting students? Can people transfer in during the middle of the year? How does that work or look like?
Yeah, yes and yes. So we're still rounding out our founding class right now, and so from now until when we start in early August, we're still accepting applications. We'd love to connect with you. Typically, the way that looks like is it's just a one-on-one conversation, right?
Oh, wow,
Actually
okay.
getting in touch, and we have the ability to schedule a conversation, really understand what is the child's needs, what's their middle school experience like, what are they hoping for and dreaming for in high school, and then we do actually accept transfers throughout the year as well.
Oh,
Right?
nice.
We found some of our sister schools, the school year starts. Some of our ninth graders especially get a little intimidated by the amount of kids they're at school with.
Yeah.
So families will then come back and say, you know what, let's give this a try.
Yeah, I mean, going from middle school to high school is typically a really big shift.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Especially in this area where it's very populated. So.
Yep.
Well, that's so great. I love all of this. So basically right now, if you have somebody going into ninth grade, freshman year, this is the time to find out more.
That's right. Yeah, you can click on our website, ednovate.org/enroll.
Yes, and they've got a great Instagram presence and all of that. What is your Instagram?
Our Instagram handle is Ednovate Atlas College Prep. Ednovate Atlas College Prep.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing just more options for our families in the local area to know about and look into, because having that information, having those options just gives you more empowerment, flexibility, opportunity. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I mean, it is about an option, right? Understanding, families understanding. We have a multitude of options for free. And so to have that opportunity, right? And even I mentioned in my home country, opportunities are scarce sometimes. But to be able to say, we've got all these different things, and I know as a parent with confidence I'm making the best choice for my kid, I think that's a gift.
Yeah, same. And I think a lot of people just think, oh, I'm living here, so I'm just going to go to the school I'm zoned to.
Yep.
And of course, yeah, that's great. And oftentimes that's the reason you live somewhere.
Yep.
However, sometimes it's not the right fit, or there's different opportunities that you can take advantage of.
Yeah. I imagine even in your, as a realtor, right?
Yeah.
Looking at where do I buy a home? Where's the zip code, right? And to be able to say, you know what? If you want to buy a home in this neighborhood, it's not necessary that you would have to attend a school right next to you.
I mean, that's a huge thing. So many people do look because they want to be in a specific district or reading or whatnot, what have you. And honestly, it can oftentimes look like smoke and mirrors. You might think you want something and then get there and find out maybe you do want a different path. So
Yep.
I think just having those opportunities is a really good thing for people to have here.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks, Alex.
Thanks so much, Alan. Really appreciate it.